Hi, Michelle here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 10 Hoya that are hidden gems in my collection. Right now, I have just under 170 different variety of Hoya. I have more than 170 Hoya plants, but I have about 167 different variety of Hoya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10 of those Hoya that are the most interesting, the most underrated, the ones that I don't hear about very often, that I think that we should hear about more because they have a little something extra, a little something special. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I have 10 Hoyas sitting here waiting to be shown, and I want to show them to you, and maybe we can start a conversation and maybe include those when we have our Facebook posts and our Instagram posts and talk about them a little more and see if we can get them to become a little more popular than they are now. If you like today's video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That lets the word get out to the plant YouTube universe that my channel exists and that others might like to see Hoya videos on all sorts of Hoya information coming out once a week. If you'd like to contribute more to my channel, please consider subscribing. I have a goal to make it to 1,000 subscribers, and I can't believe it. I'm at 960 something right now. So each one of you that have subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to contribute to this video, please put a comment in the comment section below. I do read and respond to all my comments, but please give me a day or two to respond. Sometimes I'm a little slower. I'd like to be a little faster, but sometimes I'm a little slower. So please be patient with me. And now let's go ahead and talk about the first Hoya. And the first Hoya that I'm going to show you is the sangguensis Indonesia. And this has leaves that have a beautiful sheen on them. I'll see if I can get the camera to pick it up. You have to kind of hold it in the light. But it has a beautiful sheen on it. It has a considerable amount of splashing. It looks very similar to the Caudata, but it's not. It has its own unique properties. It does remind me of the Caudata. The original leaf, as you can see, or the leaves, are right here. They weren't very splashy and they were a little smaller. What I did was I put this Hoya in my Mills bow under a very strong T8 light, and I'm happy to say that it has responded with much larger leaves. So it started with these leaves, and it had a stem that was right here, and these leaves were nice, this leaf right here and this leaf right here, but they weren't really too spectacular. But then it grew this stem right here, and it put off this leaf and these leaves. And they're just really beautiful. They're a dark green sheen with quite a bit of splashing. Now, the reason why I think this is underrated is because it's one of those Hoya that are a big leaf on a thin stem. And you don't see those too often, and they are a little difficult to root sometimes. You know, when you have a thick leaf or a large leaf on a thin stem, they can be difficult to root, so they can be difficult to come by rooted. This is rooted in tree fern fiber and perlite, and I don't know if you can see it. Whoops, see if I can get this. Nope. See if I can get this close to the camera. You can see the root right here. The root ball is all the way at the surface of the Hoya. And if you look at the root ball in the pot, it is completely root bound. So this Hoya with its long active growth point needs to be repotted really bad. So I'm definitely gonna repot this, watch it grow larger, put it on a real trellis, and give this Hoya the repotting that it deserves. So for those reasons, I think the sangguensis is definitely a hidden gem in my collection that I don't hear much about in the Hoya groups and on Instagram that I think we should see more of. The next Hoya that I'm going to talk about that is definitely a hidden gem in my collection is my ilagiorum. Now, not only does this Hoya, that's the back of it, this is the front. Not only does the ilagiorum click the box for beautiful leaves, it has these long, elongated, dagger-like leaves, but the bloom also is just beautiful. Now this bloom is, whoops, see if I can get it. There we go. Now this bloom is absolutely beautiful. This one is closing up right now. Unfortunately, I didn't get this video recorded until the bloom was already closing up. But if you can see that, the bloom is just beautiful with a cherry red with a pink center. It smells like fresh flowers. I didn't grow up with very many different kinds of flowers, so I didn't really get to sniff a whole bunch growing up to discern the differences. So I only know about 5 different kinds of flowers, unfortunately. So I'm not the best person to describe what Hoya blooms smell like, other than, you know, like cat litter for the Matilde and chocolate like the carnosas, and butterscotch buttered popcorn for the Hushkiliana. Sorry, my mind drew a blank. But anyway, back to the ilagiorum. This Hoya has these beautiful leaves. They are very elongated. They sometimes come out curved. They sometimes come out with the tips kind of curved on the ends. But if you look closely at the leaves, you'll see that the leaves have some markings of some ribs. This Hoya does sun stress if you put it in extreme amount of light. I don't. I have it in a cabinet with kind of a dull light. It's not really bright at all, which is, I'm surprised that this even bloomed at all. Normally they require a lot more light. This Hoya is growing in tree fern fiber. I think it's just tree fern fiber and perlite. Let me see. Yeah, it's tree fern fiber and perlite in a self-watering pot. The roots are good. Let me show you. The roots are good. They feel strong. They are coming out the sides of the pot, as you can see. I feel perlite. I don't feel any root mealies. So all the white sticking out on the end is perlite, not root mealies. So this looks good. It looks like it's a healthy plant. It does need to be retrellised. Definitely, because if you can look in the back, you can see it's got this little, looks like a little 4-inch wire trellis that goes here. And it's definitely not conducive to the growing of this Hoya. This Hoya wants a tall U-shaped trellis to grow. And I think it'll produce more peduncles and more blooms if I do it that way. So for this little ilagiorum with this beautiful bloom that has the corolla, the corona is pink and the corolla is cherry red. Let me show you one last time how beautiful that is. The ilagiorum definitely clicks the button for an underrated Hoya or a hidden gem in my Hoya collection. The next Hoya that I have to show you today, I've showed you in Hoya collection videos before, but that time it was sun stressed. This time I reduced the lights in my cabinets in winter to 12 hours a day. I do that because I want to give my Hoyas a little rest on the light. In spring, summer, fall, I have the lights going from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. So that's 14 hours. So I like to give them a break. It also helps trigger the winter blooming Hoyas to bloom. Like you can't see it, but I have my Thomsonii. It has about 5 peduncles right now that are almost blooming or that are blooming right now. So I will show you that this Hoya is not sun stressed right now because of the reduced light, but it's still really beautiful. And that is the pulchra. It has these beautiful green leaves that have a midrib on them. They have kind of a dark outer band. The midrib is lighter. See if I can stay behind this so you can see these. The midrib is lighter. These do sun stress purple, and the midrib stays a blondish color. So when these sun stress, I'll see if I can put a picture up of what it looks like when they sun stress. I don't know if I have a picture, but if I have a picture, I'll put it up. So these sun stress, but even dark, this dark pine green is really beautiful. It is matte. Normally our Hoyas are kind of shiny, but this one is very matte. It feels velveteen. I took a cutting right there where my finger is, and it took forever for it to start growing again, but it has started growing again. It's got this new growth with a new leaf right there. Looks like it started to be 2 new leaves, but unfortunately, it looks like one is going to abort because it's much smaller than the other one. If you can see them right here. I don't know if my camera is going to catch that. So it is starting to grow 2 new leaves. Hopefully they both stay. But the fact that this is a beautiful matte green, it has a unique midrib, and it sun stresses so beautifully. The way it changes color, the way you can get a range of colors. And I forgot to say, when it sun stresses a purple, a magenta purple, which is really beautiful. So for those reasons, I say that the pulchra definitely is a hidden gem in my collection. And it's one that a lot of people don't have. I don't think it's super rare. I just don't think that people grow it often. I have a goal to take cuttings and have a spring sale. That's my goal. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But the pulchra is number 3 for hidden gems in my collection. And the next hidden gem in my collection is one that I'm looking at the hole in the bottom, and look at those roots sticking out. That is crazy. Look at the roots sticking out of the top. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can see that, but these are solid roots sticking out of the top. I think it's definitely time to get this out of the pot. This is my IML 0161, formerly known as the Clandestina. The reason why I love this Hoya so much is look at that, as I call it, ribbage. Look at that ribbage. Look at that abbage. Look at those abs. You can just feel it. They are raised. The ribs and the veins in the leaf are raised up. Let me show you other leaves. They are all raised as well. This feels like a new leaf. This is a small leaf, still got the veins. Got this leaf upside down right here. Got this leaf, it looks like it's got something growing on it. Still got ribbage. The leaf on the bottom had died, but there's the other leaf is still left. There was another leaf on the bottom here. Unfortunately, that passed on. But I will show you this, and it was a leaf with a lot of, a lot of raised area. I don't see this often. When it came up for sale, I bid on it. It was a live auction on Palm Street for 2 leaves. I paid, I believe, $60 for. And I only paid that much money for it because I wanted this exact Hoya from this exact plant really bad. I love this Hoya to death, but I am past the days in which I will pay a lot of money for a Hoya, unless it's a really special Hoya. This is a special Hoya. There aren't really too many Hoyas that have, ribs and veins that are raised up like this. So it was, in that way, it was a good buy because the seller that sold me this is not selling anymore. So I was glad that I got it while I did. I don't see too many people selling it, mainly because a lot of the leaves turn out kind of like this, where you can see the veins, but they're not raised at all. I haven't really figured out why this Hoya grows leaves with not much veins and then grows leaves with a lot of veins. I have to do some thinking and figure it out. It is in my Mills bow on the back on a really elevated shelf that comes really close to light. So if it was light that caused this leaf, you would think light would cause this leaf to be really, elevated, the raised veins as well. It's not though. But judging by how root bound this is, I need to put this in a larger pot, and I will. And hopefully that will encourage the Hoya to grow more, uptake more water, maybe produce leaves with larger veins that are raised. So I don't hear much about the IML 0161. I don't know if that's because it's an old Hoya and no one wants it anymore. I don't know if it's because they are growing it and they're not getting the raised veins, so they ditch it. I don't know, but I know that when I get Hoya leaves to grow like this, it's a keeper for me. So this one is number 4 on my collection of hidden gems in my Hoya collection. The next Hoya in my collection is one that's a little unique. This one I don't see much for sale at all. And this one is a persnickety Hoya for me to grow. And that is the corneri. Or is it corneri? It only has one I at the end, so I'm not for sure how to pronounce it. I'm just going to call it the corneri. It reminds me of an undulata, how it grows. And why I say this Hoya is persnickety is if you look on the back, let me get out of the way. If you look at the back, you'll see that there are a lot of dropped leaves. There's lots of nodes there that are scarred. Those are from dropped leaves. In the beginning, I had a lot of leaves form and then they would drop off. This Hoya, I will say, has been sprayed for mites with a commercial miticide, so it's not mites that's causing this. It's just the peculiarity of this Hoya. It may just be this particular Hoya, or it may be the Hoya, this particular species of Hoya. I will say that it grows, it has a curve. So it reminds me of a cross between an undulata and a crassipediolata splash. I know that's kind of weird, but it has a lot of commonalities with an undulata. The stackability. This also happens in a Calistophylla or Finlaysonii, where the leaves stack. They grow stacked upon each other, so that they protect the plant. You will see this leaf looks a little yellow. I don't think it is yellow. This one looks a little yellow right here too. I think that this is sun stress.
Just then.
Hey, video editing Michelle here. I wanted to go ahead and pop in right now because as I was editing this video, I came across this page from Unsolicited Plant Talks, and it talks about how the corneri is more susceptible to yellowing under bright lights or extra nitrogen. So it needs special care, and it needs lower light and lower nitrogen. I do fertilize regularly, and I also had the corneri under a bright light. So why this plant has yellowing? It's more sunburn than sun stress and over fertilization. So I just wanted to go ahead and include that here because wiser minds have spoken on this topic. Okay, back to the video. Until recently, I kept this Hoya on a shelf that was only about this far from the light. So this Hoya was getting a great deal of sun or light. So I think that this Hoya's highest ability to sun stress is to turn kind of yellow and get a little bit of red. Because as you can see, this leaves ability to sun stress. A little bit of red, a few dots. But the reason why I think this is a hidden gem is because it is so unique looking. It's a pendant hanging Hoya. It does have some veining similar to a Finlaysonii. The splashing reminds me of a crassipediolata splash. The growth pattern reminds me of an undulata. The hanging ability also reminds me of an undulata. But the veining reminds me of a Finlaysonii. So it's kind of a culmination of multiple Hoyas. As for roots, you can see right here, the roots are very, very fine. They are in there, but they're very fine. This was transplanted a couple of months ago from one of the smaller cups. The roots have reached the side, so that's good. There are 2 leaves right here on this node, if you can see it. Hopefully those grow into new leaves. So I definitely don't see this talked about a lot. Judging by how many leaves fell off the Hoya when I was trying to grow it, this was around Christmas time, I can definitely see that this would be a tough Hoya to root and probably to sell as well. If you can't root it, you can't sell it because most people buy rooted cuttings. So I was thinking about taking these 2 off and trying to root them for a sale in the spring. Wish me luck. But those reasons are why, mainly because it's an amalgam of multiple Hoya types, and you don't see that too often. So for those reasons, I think the corneri is definitely a Hoya that is a hidden gem in my collection. The next Hoya I want to talk about is this beautiful Hoya. This is the lacunosa Souma. And as you can see, it's got a lot of new growth, and that new growth is sun stressed. And that is one of the reasons why I chose this particular lacunosa. I have about 12 or 13 lacunosa right now. And you know, that's to include one lacunosa in this video and having it be this one is saying something. I got this lacunosa late last year, last quarter last year. It has pink tinted a stem when the leaves come out. And the leaves, I'll show you down low, the leaves come out very creamy. They have a very creamy leaf. They are not like the lacunosa intervariegated, which I have right here, which is curled up with a plant. See, this is the lacunosa intervariegated compared to the Souma. You can see the variegation is a lot smaller. So this has a lot more variegation than the average Hoya does, but that sun stressing just tops it off. That is just chef's kiss beautiful. I wasn't expecting that to happen. It just grew that way because as it grew around the trellis, this part naturally became closer to the light, and it has stressed a beautiful pink and down here a beautiful red. I am going to take a picture of it when I'm done here. Hopefully I can take a decent picture of it and put that on Instagram that I never go on and see if I can't get a pretty picture with this. So the lacunosa Souma, definitely a hidden gem in the collection. That sun stressing just takes it to 11. The next Hoya I want to talk about is, I believe it's now called the species tanggamus bamboo. I will put the correct name on the bottom. I bought it as Hoya bamboo. Let me take the tag out. And this is a fun little Hoya. It's like a skinny mini bell, like a small Soloesiana, but it's got beautiful leaves. It roots really well. As you can see in the pot here, the roots are really good. See if you can see all the roots. The roots are really good. This Hoya really grows pretty fast. As you can see, it's got a stem that needs to be attached to something so it will grow new leaves. So I got to do that, and I will probably take it out of this pot because it does look like it needs a slightly larger pot. So it will get a trellis. But the reason why I think it needs more attention is it is like a mini Hoya. Like I said, it looks like a miniature mini bell. And for people like me that have exceeded the maximum capacity of their room for their Hoya collection, and are looking for ways to make space that they don't have, you need little Hoyas if you're going to add to your Hoya collection. Like me, I would love to add large Hoyas to my collection, but I don't have any room. So mini Hoyas, like the species tanggamus bamboo, really fit the bill. This Hoya can get large. I can put it on a little trellis and it will stay in that situation for a very long time because this is all as large as the leaves get. It's a cool little Hoya too. It does have some texture, not on the new leaves, but the new leaves do come in, and see if I can show you this. They have a black margin around them, which is fun. It does not appear, it looks like the black margin may fade as the leaves get older, because I see a lot of leaves have it, the young leaves have it, but the older leaves, it looks like it's faded away to next to nothing. But this Hoya is fun. The leaf shape is fun. The growth pattern is fun. This stem will get a trellis, and it will be hopefully growing new leaves. So this little fun Hoya is definitely a hidden gem in my collection because I can't wait to see how big it grows. It reminds me of, the growth pattern reminds me of a retusa, how it jumps in bunches. I got that one to bloom too. So for a hidden gem in my collection, the species tanggamus bamboo. I am so happy to show this Hoya as one of my hidden gems, and this is the mitrata silver. I do believe this is the Boontalk version. I got this as an unrooted Hoya, an unrooted cutting in my for my birthday, which is late October. And it just recently, within this week, put out this new growth point. Let's see if I can show it to you. Put out this new growth point and these two new leaves. You can see them right there. And I'm so excited that it's done that. And I'll show you the roots. The roots look really good. They are reaching the edge of the pot. The roots themselves look good. So they are mostly over right here. That's where most of the roots are. So this Hoya has rooted very well. I rooted it in this substrate. So these roots are used to this substrate for their growth, for their rooting, their nutrient absorption, their water absorption. They are used to this kind of substrate, which is good because you don't have to have any type of stress. The leaves are nice and firm. I know that they say that this can be a slow Hoya to grow, and I agree because, like I said, I got this in October, and it's mid-January right now, early to mid-January. So it took almost 3 months for this to grow to get to this point. Rooting in the substrate you're going to grow in is kind of a slower method of growing, but it's a more dependable method because you don't suffer transplant stress when you go from water to soil or to organic substrate. You don't suffer that transplant shock. It's not going to be a problem. You're going to be able to just keep going. I don't have to worry about this. The only thing I have to worry about is when it gets fuller of roots, I will have to up pot it, but it'll still be in that substrate. I'm proud that I was able to get this to root and to grow because this is a slower growing Hoya that is harder to root. So I used my Hoya brain and I got it to grow. So I'm just happy about that. So the 8th Hoya that is the hidden gem in my collection, a real hidden gem, is the Hoya mitrata silver. The 9th Hoya in my collection is also an unusual one, and that is the biruensis. This used to be known as the affinity spardioides, and I think you can see why. The thing you'll need to keep in mind is when I got this Hoya, I don't know if you can see it, but there are scars along the stem where leaves fell off this plant. Now, I don't know why the leaves fell off. Was it overwatering, underwatering? The plant is just a diva. Humidity. I don't know the reason that the leaves fell off. And it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 leaves fell off. I'm not sure the reason why. All I know is that this tells me that this is going to be a stubborn Hoya. But so far it's doing really good. The bottom leaves are very flat, and this Hoya sun stress is purple. If you can see this leaf, it's purple because it gets the most light. These 2 new leaves look like they came out with a peduncle at the end. See if I can get this to stop shaking. If you see that, it looks like a peduncle at the end. And this one also looks like it has a peduncle at the end. And these are circular. These are not flat. These over here, this one's circular, this one's flat, this one's flat, this one's flat. So I'm not really for sure. This biruensis is definitely unique. I can't wait to see it bloom. It should bloom hopefully by these new guys. You know, I really think I blew more than four leaves in this Hoya's care, but none of the leaves have dropped. So, but it does have a new growth right on the end. If you can see it, it's got new leaves coming out of the tip at the top. Those will be 2 leaves that will grow and split. This Hoya, I'm excited about these 2 new leaves because I really think that they might be the ones that produce blooms. So this affinity, formerly known as the affinity spardioides, now known as the biruensis, I'm really excited. As for the roots, it doesn't really have many roots that reach the side. In fact, I can't really see them. It does have roots. I pull it, it passes this tug test. It must have very fine roots. I definitely don't see this biruensis being sold anywhere. I don't see the spardioides being sold anywhere either. But this biruensis, really, I don't see sold anywhere. And that's a shame because it's such a fun and funky little Hoya. I mean, the spardioides is big. This one is compact. So if you're looking for an alternative to the spardioides that stays small, the biruensis is probably a good one to look for. And it's relatively affordable too. At least this one was. So try your luck at this. Definitely the biruensis is a hidden gem in my collection. And the 10th and final Hoya in my collection that is a hidden gem is definitely one I don't see really anyone talk about. And that is the SS43-03. This is a cross between the Sigillatus Atlas River and the spardioides. Now you can see by the leaves that this Hoya sun stresses very beautifully. It came to me with 2 leaves, these 2 leaves, and it's grown all of these other leaves in my care. I've had it since I think September, so it's not too bad of a growth rate, and it's got 2 new leaves at this node right there, if you can see them. So it's growing at a fair clip. It did pause for a while it was rooting. You can see the roots right down there in the bottom. It is rooting well. Looks like it's got something. Oh, it's got roots. It's got roots coming out the bottom. So it is rooting well. Definitely got a lot of roots right here in this section. So it's almost time to pot up in a bigger pot, but not quite yet. I love this Hoya because it has the qualities of a Soloesiana. So it's got the elongated leaves, but it's also got the qualities of the sigillatus, which means sun stress is purple. It's got splashing, so it's got those qualities. So I exposed it to highlight, and sure enough, it brought out the sigillatus high sun stressing, and it just looks beautiful. I think that this will trail. Like the sigillatus, I did not put my sigillatus on a trellis. I don't really think that that's what's best for it. I don't think a trellis will be what's best for this Hoya either. I did trellis my sigillatus Borneo, but I didn't trellis my regular sigillatus. So I don't think the sigillatus really go for trellising. I think they look more natural and beautiful trailing. And I don't say that about too many Hoyas. The Thomsonii is really the only one I trail, and a carnosa. So I definitely don't think that these are talked about very much. I've only seen like one for sale in a Facebook group, and that's it. So I definitely think that these should be talked about more. I don't think that they are too hard to root. I had to reroot mine, and it did just fine. I had no issues. I think it would be good in your collection, rooted or unrooted, because I think that this would be a Hoya that would be able to root fairly well. Sigillatus are a little touchy rooting, but Soloesiana root pretty good. A Soloesiana is the only Hoya I've ever been able to grow from a wet stick. So this Hoya has the sturdy genes of 2 great Hoyas in its name. So I definitely think that the SS43-03 Sigillatus Atlas River times Soloesiana is definitely a Hoya that is a hidden gem in my collection and should definitely be in more people's collections. Okay, that's the video for today. I really hope you enjoyed these 10 Hoyas, these 10 hidden gems in my collection. I hope that maybe I gave you some ideas for some Hoyas that you might like to add to your collection. What hidden gems do you have in your collection? Please put them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about them. Maybe I'll add some to my collection, as long as they're small, because I have to find room for them. I really appreciate you taking the time to stay with me until the end of this video. I know that you have a lot that you need to do with your time, and today you spent it with me. I really appreciate that. So I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again. Bye.